Sorry, I should have made you guys aware I was having a drink before I just took a drink of coffee and stopped before I was even speaking. Oh goodness me, that didn't sound good. I apologise sincerely for that. I didn't realise I was unwell like that. I thought I'd just hop on and do a bit of stitching with you today. There's not a lot happening. I'm trying to force myself to slow down a bit. Not that I go fast, let me tell you. I have arthritis and fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue and a few other things that I could list off. We'll be here all day. My body is not responding well this last week to everything I've had going on, and I've been trying desperately to slow down and rest, and it's actually much harder than some people may think. If you're in a similar position, I'm sure you'd understand, but you know, some of these doctors will say you need to rest. My pain specialist says to me, you need to go home and go to bed for 5 days and not get out of bed for 5 days, or at the very worst, sit on the lounge with your feet up and read a book for 5 days. Who on earth can do that? Okay, my children are not home any longer, but I have a doggo who has just had major surgery, who needs a lot of care. I still have to care for myself. As anyone else would know, you still have to get up and get yourself food, even if it's just the minimal amount of food. You still have to wash the dishes. You still have to try and keep things in some kind of order in your home and your garden. How on earth they expect you to sit back and do nothing is beyond me. Anyway, I know I have been doing way too much because my body is not coping at all. I'm in massive amounts of pain. I can feel if I push myself too hard, I end up in hospital. I can feel my body starting to shut down again. So I'm trying desperately to force myself to not be doing as much. If you've been following along, you might be aware that I had spent, well, the 5th of May when I went in for surgery, and it ended up being much larger than we were initially informed, and then there were complications, and you know, as a result of that, I've been caring for her. She's a 65 kilo dog. I was lifting her up to toilet her several times a day. I've had to, for the first week, had to feed her little tiny morsels by hand. I had to give her little tiny bits of water by hand because she just wasn't feeling up to anything. It's been hard work, and then I went straight back into physiotherapy and hydrotherapy, and my body just went, nope, no way. So as a result of all of that and and of course, while she was convalescing, I've been still doing my textiles, sourcing them, uploading them, trying to get them listed to sell, to get a bit of extra money in to help pay the vet bills and whatnot. So I haven't sat still, and the old body is retaliating in a very big way at the moment. I can actually lift it today. I can lift my coffee cup today. Yesterday I couldn't. It was just excruciating. And of course, not quite 12 months ago, I had a little accident. I was knocked unconscious by my dog and injured myself. I tore the ligaments down my right side in my right elbow, my right knee, my right ankle. I sustained a head injury and a few other little things. And I thought I'd fairly well recovered from that, but we've had this massive drop in, I think it's barometric pressure in the last week, and I can tell you what, I can feel it as if it had just happened yesterday. Those injuries have flared up dreadfully, and it's not fun, that's for sure. So as much as I desperately wanted to get out on the truck today and yesterday, or one day or the other, the way my elbow is at the moment, I couldn't even pull myself in and out of the truck, let alone cart sandbags and put tarps on ribs and things like that. So I'm feeling a bit miserable that I haven't been able to help. I'm feeling a bit miserable that I'm in so much pain and I haven't been sleeping and all of the above. So what I thought I'd do is try and do some stitching to try and slow my body and my brain down a bit. I'm just looking for a pair of glasses. I do have... I can't find my best close work pair. I've lost them somewhere, and I've got an awful feeling I've dropped them on my way to therapy one day, because I took them. I usually take a bag with me to therapy, to hydrotherapy, when I go each week, because there's often waiting times, and I'll sit and do some stitching while I'm there. And I took them, well, I take them every day. I took back in January. I haven't been able to find them since, so I have been back to the hospital and asked if they'd been handed in or found. They haven't, so I'm going to have to order another pair. I just haven't had a chance. Just going to have a drink, guys, and I'll be back with you. So, one of the things I found when I've been... Another thing, I have been destashing, if you're not aware. I'm pretty well destashing my entire house. I've got 35, maybe more years of stuff I've collected, and I'm planning on moving in the next 18 months, 2 years, once the house is built. And not my house. I don't have that kind of money. But I am invited to move in with my daughter and her fiance. And as a result of that, I need to get rid of stuff. So I've been destashing. I've been going through all my stuff, and I'll tell you what, I've got a hell of a lot more than I realised. But I've been finding some little treasures, and one of those is this. They're not in the best condition. I've had these for years. Now, I sourced both of these books. I've got another one here. They're both Coates publications. I believe they've both been out of production for many years. My little green one, I'd like to try and get back in production, because it was one of the best handbooks for stitching. It was, like I said, it was recommended to us by the Guild. They highly encouraged it. But I was lucky to get one when I did because they stopped production fairly well not long after. Not this one, the other one. This one is, look, the poor thing. This one has 50 counted embroidery stitches in it. So I did used to do a lot of counted thread work. I don't enjoy it as much these days because my eyesight's not what it was and my hands aren't as nimble as they used to be. But I still do use this book. Here we go. Dove's eye and lace filling stitches. These ones were my favourite types. What was this style of embroidery? I've got some here that I dug out the other day that I've started, nearly finished. Hard anger, I think, from memory. I might be wrong. The old brain's not as sprightly as it used to be. So this is one I found. I also liked these sorts of needle weaving stitches. They were some of my favourites. And one of the things I've discovered with these kinds of stitches that are clearly worked on counted thread, on Aida or linen, I've actually, I can't think of the word I want. I've been able to utilise some of these styles of stitching in different things as well. So, you know, when I've done the junk journals I've done, and now with the vintage needle books I'm doing, I'm starting to integrate these types of stitches into that sort of work as well. Even though it's not traditional, there's nothing to stop you from doing that. You know, even if it's not done the same way. Hang on, I've got to move. Sorry guys, I'm blocking the doorway to the stairwell, and Hairy Legs here wants to go down to the bed. So I'll let her through. Come on, off you go. Hurry up. Step over the camera, please. I don't have time for you to sit here and contemplate whether you still want to go or not. Here you go. Come on. Okay. Thank you. So, it's... Oh, goodness me. Sorry. The old knees gave in then. It's dreadfully cold here today. And I say dreadfully cold, it's about 10 degrees, which is not cold compared to many other places in the world, but it is bloody freezing. And everything's hurting and everything's cold. I'm all rugged up, but I'm still cold. Here's the other book. This is the Bible, the Stitching Bible that we were recommended by the Guild. As you can see, this poor book, I should have covered it in contact or something. I've got a feeling I've actually got another one of these. I've got a feeling $10.80 it was originally, and I bought this from Maria's at... What was the name of Maria's shop in Boolaroo? Many, many years ago. I think I was in high school when I first bought this. I've got a feeling I bought another one at a second-hand shop years later. But they're just basic stitches really, but it's one of the best handbooks, and especially as a beginner embroiderer, it's clearly laid out, your stitches, and it's a good resource as well if you sit down and you think, oh, I can't remember, I can't think of anything to do, and there's horrible things in here. Goodness knows what I've spilled in there, or what's worked its way in there as I've been dragging it around. So of course we start with our outline stitches, stem stitch, running stitch, laced running stitch, whipped back stitch, back stitch. This is one of my favourite stitches of all time. I've loved this stitch. This is probably why this stain is here. Portuguese stem stitch. I really liked that one. Where's another one I liked? Fishbone stitch was another good one. I liked the closed herringbone stitch, the eyelet hole, I've done that one a bit, the blanket stitch or buttonhole stitch, up and down buttonhole stitch. Now, I have been looking for this for weeks, months even. I was doing my blanket stitch around this piece at the hospital, and a lovely gent, another patient, was watching me, and he does cross stitch. And he said to me, there's another stitch. Now, this gent had had a stroke, so he had trouble remembering as well, like I do. He said it goes like this, and I knew what he was talking about, and neither of us could remember the name of it. And I've searched and searched and searched, and because I couldn't remember the name of it, this is it. This is the stitch we've been looking for. So I'll have to try that one next time, the up and down buttonhole stitch. That's another one, double buttonhole stitch bars. This is another good one, buttonhole stitch with picots, or the knotted buttonhole stitch. I liked those ones. What else was there? The loop stitch was another good one. This is the ladder stitch. There's some really good ones in here that I used quite a bit. The heavy chain stitch. The twisted chain stitch was another good one. There's one, an oyster stitch, I think. There's a rosette chain stitch. That was a good one, but I found it didn't always sit very flat, the rosette chain stitch. The rosettes tended to want to lift a little bit, no matter how close you did them or how, they were a little bit problematic sometimes. The double knot stitch, the knotted cable chain stitch was a good one. We've got the Antwerp edging. I thought the oyster stitch was in here. The pistol stitch was another good one. Mustn't have been. Spider's web filling, the Maltese cross. These ones, I like these insertion stitches as well. I was looking for one of these because I want to do an insertion stitch in this Japanese needle book. There's the buttonhole insertion, twisted insertion, the knotted insertion, but the one I'd seen online was different to that again. The hem stitches, Italian hem stitch. They're ones I've used quite a bit. Those other ones went in here. I thought they were. Pistol stitch is one. The oyster stitch, I think, is another one. But anyway, they're another couple of little treasures that you see, oyster stitch isn't in here, and neither is pistol. No, well there you go. Two of my favourite ones, and they're not in there. But if you ever see one of these, I'd recommend you get it if you're into this sort of thing, because it's just a really good handbook to have. I've used it a lot, as you can see. The poor thing, look at it. That's disgraceful, really. I've got so many things here again today that I wanted to show you, and I probably should just really work on one thing at a time, shouldn't I? What I do want to do is open my emails this morning, and a couple of days ago, which I didn't see until this morning, Kathleen had sent me an email, and I'd really like to say happy birthday. Happy birthday, Kathleen. I'm sorry I missed it on your day. I do hope you had a wonderful day doing your stitching, your lovely stitching, and I know I keep saying that I will get back to you, and I've just been it's just crazy, but I will. And I hope you had a great day, and happy birthday. I don't have any tissues here because I didn't have a runny nose until I sat down, and now all of a sudden I've got a runny nose. I'm just looking around to see if there's any tissues here within my reach. It doesn't look like there is. Oh, it's too much effort to get up. I don't think I showed you the other day another little treasure that I've had for years. I love this. I don't think I'll ever part with this one because my daughter likes it as well. Now this is one that was my grandmother's, and it was given to her, I'm pretty sure it was given to her by an English friend of hers. It's got a couple of dents in it, the poor little thing. My son believes he can get those out. Take the home sweet home. Look at the little swallows. Bluebird toffee made in England. I only noticed this writing last night. I kept looking on the bottom. Harry Vincent Limited, Huntington, Worcestershire, England. And let's open her up. So it's some little vintage dolly pegs in there. Stamped linen. Look at that lovely crocheted edge. Something just flew in front of that. I don't know what it is because it's too bloody cold here for insects. It is a Duchess set or vanity set, not colours I would choose, but beautifully stitched. Absolutely gorgeous. So the two smaller ones look like they've been completed. Oh no, they're not. Look, this one's not finished. So there's that. Let me just put this back how it was. This large one is not completed at all, not even started. And then we've got, it's amazing how much fits in this little tin. This one's pretty. A little doily, and it has been started just. It has like a wisteria and a garden. Isn't it pretty? So I'll finish that one, I'd say. That's the plan. And there's some cottons in here. Looks like they're all anchor. So, from my research, I've been led to believe this is potentially from the 20s. So that would, if that's correct, it would make it 100 years old. Which I find quite cool. I was watching something last night. I can't remember what it was now. Oh, they'd gone into, oh, it was bloody Clarkson's farm. They were looking at buying pubs. And one of the pubs he was looking at, the stones on the roof, it wasn't a slate, is it slate roof they do? It was a stone roof on this pub. And they were saying it was 400 years old. I struggle to get my head around that. That's 400 years old. There's stones on the roof of this pub. So I have been doing, I spoke about these in my last video. I'm struggling to keep this one neat because I'm so bloody sore. I probably shouldn't do them while I'm hurting so much, to be honest. But this is just some vintage wool blanketing. I've cut these out years ago, so I've had these lying around for a long time. Again, something else I found as I've been clearing out. And as you can see, they have a bit of fabric on the top. These original ones have some, what's it called, like Blizer fix in between them. So they're a bit stiffened, not like the next lot I cut out, because I don't have any Blizer fix here at the moment. And I've stitched some vintage buttons on here. And would you believe, of all the stuff I have, I don't have any vintage coloured buttons around anymore. I seem to have used them all, which is a bit annoying, because that means I don't have any buttons to do the next lot that I've cut out. So what I was thinking, because I had a few of these already ready, I like to, I just need to stitch around these, as you can see. And these are the older ones that were done. I've got more cut out that I did the other day somewhere. So what I was thinking, I usually stitch a brooch bar on the back. I think I will. It takes a bit more effort, but so when someone buys something from my D-Stash page, I like to add a little thank you gift. And I try to do different gifts each round, because there's often the same people buying, so I don't want to give them the same thing every time. So my thought process is, I might, if I can get some of these done, time permitting, I might pop one of these in as a thank you gift. Sometimes you might just get a bit of ribbon or a bit of lace or a bit of fabric, I don't know, it depends what I have. So that's my thought process on that, on these. I originally used to make these to sell as brooches when I used to go to the markets years ago. Oh, goodness me, I'm not feeling great at all at the moment. I thought I'd start to feel better, but... Now, I've just noticed that there's a bit of blanket sticking out. Oh, look at these scissors, I need to clean them up. They're a pair of 100-and-something-year-old dressmaker scissors. They've still got the tag on them. I'm just going to trim this bit of blanket that's sticking out there. Those poor scissors, I've never used them, and they're starting to go a bit rusty. It's so wet and damp here. I'm not surprised. Everything's going mouldy or rusty. When I got out this poor, I should have it on, this poor little light the other day, it wouldn't work, and I couldn't work out why it wouldn't work, because it had never been used. And when I opened it up, in the contacts for the batteries had rusted, so I cleaned them up as best I could. One of them pretty much disintegrated, so I'm surprised it works at all. But it's just so bloody damp at the moment everywhere. But I'm thankful that I'm not flooding like some people are. I just do a little, when I get to corners, if you're wondering what I was doing, I should have shown that. I do a little like a buttonhole knot to hold the stitch in place so it doesn't slide around. I should have trimmed that blanket a bit more by the looks. Spilling out a little bit. It's gotten incredibly quiet here all of a sudden. Might be time to end this off because I'm running out of thread. Okay, so this probably isn't the best method, but this is how I do it. There's my last stitch, and then I'll just come up under here, under that last stitch, and back through that loop and make a bit of a knot. And then I'll tuck this in under here and pull it as firmly as I can without pulling it inside out, so it doesn't really look like I've done anything. You can barely see that knot. Then I will snip this off as close to that as I can. Might need to be a little bit closer. You can see a little bit. We don't want to see that. Just give it a bit of a suck it in a bit. Let's cut another bit of cotton to finish it off. I might have to nail a blanket up on this open doorway here because it's so, I can feel the breeze coming up the stairwell. I haven't had to do that for years, you know. It hasn't been this cold. I haven't, used to put a blanket up there years ago and it'd keep it nice and warm up here. Okay. Oops, sorry, I'm off the screen again. Now, I know you're not supposed to, but I did lick that end to thread it. And that's the end I like to have left in here. And all I do is come in between the fabric and the wool, so you can't see where that needle's gone in. It's sandwiched in between there. And the point I've brought out just on the left side of that last stitch. Now pull that through, and we just want to pull it through enough so that tail just disappears in that fabric. We don't want to pull it any further because that's our anchoring stitch. Now I'm going to do another knot here on that stitch, so we end up with a double knot there, which can get a bit bulky if we're not careful. So what I do is come in from the back of that last stitch, and then I'll come in the front of that loop we've just made, and I'm holding this to make sure that tail doesn't get sucked through, and pull that nice and firmly, and then we just continue on our merry way. And there we go. You can't, hang on, I'll do the next stitch. It's very difficult to see where those two knots were. And if I show you this, oh crack, there goes my neck. If I show you the blanket stitch I've done on here, I will guarantee, I can see one already, you will find it very difficult to see where I've stopped and started those joins. I have spotted an error down here though that I'll have to fix. Somehow I've missed that. See that bar there? I don't know how I've missed that. I'll have to come back and stitch that up. Huh, interesting. Probably not having glasses on. So there we go with the blanket stitch, stop and start. Maybe, I'm just wondering if I should zoom in a bit closer so you can see a bit more clearly how I did that. I'm pulling these stitches firmly, but not too firmly that it's puckering that fabric. I like it firm. You get a feel for it after you've done it for a while. I don't like any loose loopy bits. And you tend to get, when you're not in horrendous pain, you tend to get a bit of a rhythm as well. So you end up with evenly spaced stitches, not like these currently are. And you can see sometimes if I'm not feeling confident, I will draw a line on here with a vanishing pen, because sometimes I'll start and they get longer or shorter. You can see they're getting a bit shorter there by the looks. I don't always draw a line, but sometimes it's helpful. So how about I see if I can... Oh, that looks better. I wonder if I can straddle this a bit so I'm in the... Oh, crikey, I can't lift my bloody leg. Bear with me a sec. It feels like it's full of lead weights. The stand is that wide, I can't get it under the chair now. Okay. Let's see if I can do this a bit more clearly for you. Okay, so let's do a finish off again. So let's pretend that we've run out of thread and we need to end off. So we've just done a stitch, as you can see. And what I do is come up. Now I'm looking at this through the monitor instead of right on the work. So I come up there, the back of that stitch we've just done. I'm holding, you can see I'm holding my working thread up here. So we come through here, and before we pull it all the way through, I'm going to go through the front of this loop. Sorry, it's really hard to get it through the monitor. And pull that quite firmly. Thank you, Kathleen. This is an old one I've had for years. It's a cotton, it's most likely DMC. There's not much of it left, as you can see. It's just like it's a lot like this one. It's probably even the same actually. This one came in a kit a couple of weeks ago from so be. So, I can't read that. I'm assuming it's a cotton embroider. I can't remember the name of the other thread that Beck sells. But I'd say it's the same sort of thread. It's nice and soft. Not over mercerized like some of the crochet cotton. So I've done that knot there. Then what I do is come in between the stitches, and we don't want it to be seen, so I'm going in between the front layer and the back layer, so we can't see that needle, and then we pull it through. Now this is where we want to pull it through firmly, but we don't want to pull it through too firmly that it turns it inside out. So I want that a little bit more firm than that because it's sitting up a bit. Now see, it's starting to pull that stitch in. We don't want to go quite that far. So let's just loosen it a little bit. Just a little jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Right, now we want to cut this end off. We cut that off as close as we can because we don't want to see that. We cut it off, can't see it. Thread our needle up with our new thread again. I can't pick the bloody thing up. Here we go. It's all magically rethreaded. And if you lick the end of it like I often do, I haven't done this one this time. That's the end that we want a little bit longer, so it's tucked in here, just because it gives it a little bit more grab. So we go in, it doesn't really matter where. I like to try and go, if we go off to the side a bit, then we're working back against it, which should lock it in a bit more. So again, I've come in the front of the work, you can do it in the back. I do it at the front because that's my working side. In between both layers. So we want to sandwich this in between there. Now we want the needle to come up at the front of that knot we just made, just behind that last stitch we've done. It's not quite behind it. I think I'd pierced that stitch. Oops. So we want to come up in there. There we go. Just double check there's no needle showing because we don't want to see that thread. Now let's pull this through, but we want to watch this tail, and just as that tail disappears, we stop pulling, and we give that a little bit of a massage to get rid of that puncture hole we just made. Now we're coming back up here, we're going to pinch this quite firmly where that tail is so it doesn't get sucked in. We want to hold our working thread up here. Now we're going to come into the front of that stitch. I don't think I've quite got that. I feel like I'm working with a magnifying glass. Yeah, I've got that. So I've come in between those last two stitches and that top where that knot is. We want to pull that needle through that loop that we've created a loop here with our fingers, a big loop. It's getting stuck, so I'm just, why is that getting stuck? Oh, it's caught around the heart, that's why. So we're pulling that through, gently, gently, and we're actually creating a knot. want that knot to sit up as close to that as possible. And then we just continue on our merry way. It feels like this stream is jumping. I apologise if it is. Oops, a bit too tight. I wasn't the best drawing that one. I think it's because I'm doing it through the monitor and not... Crikey. So that's how I do my stop starts with my blanket stitch. Probably not the way to do it. There's possibly better ways, but that's how I do it because I don't like them to come unravelled. It's taken me quite a few years to develop this technique. It's not sitting great there, is it? I've obviously pulled it a little bit too tight in there. That's a bit better. Just eased it out a little bit. And there we go. We won't go all the way around with that because that'll get a bit boring, I'd imagine. I still need to find a tissue. I don't think I showed you this either. I've got something else. This is another piece I started years ago that I'd like to finish. I bet I can't find all the original bits that I used. I think I might have shown it actually. I think I did. A bit of mattress ticking. This was another guild project, I believe. And it's just layers. There's a bit of braid, ribbon. It's a bit of rickrack with stitches over it. I haven't put anything in there yet, so that's obviously going to be a stitch. Bit of velvet ribbon, stitching. That's a triple, I think it's a chevron stitch, not a chevron. Yeah, it might be a chevron. I can't remember now. Not chevron. Let's double check. I can't remember the name of the bloody thing. Where is it? It's not that one. Just the New South Wales Embroiderers Guild. I don't know. I think, from my understanding, it's linked to the English or the British Guild. Herringbone stitch it is, you silly bullfed. So I've done a triple herringbone stitch there with different colours. Some sequins. That's probably a Portuguese knotted stem stitch by the look of it, that one. There's that looks like coral knot stitch, the purple. Some ribbon with sequins. There's the Portuguese stitch, and then, you know, you just reverse it in the opposite direction. So this was going to be a pouch. You can see I've done the outline. I started that many years ago, and I think I'm going to have lots of fun trying to find those original threads and bits and bobs to finish it off. Now, where am I up to? I did dig out some of the bits. In the last video, I had shown you this bit. I've got things everywhere. This needle book, and I didn't have any of the bits pulled that I was going to put in it. So I have pulled some. Oh, we're upside down. I should know by now which is the front and which is the back. So I'm still not 100% certain about this lace. But I bought this specifically for this book. This vintage lace here. And I was just thinking I need to turn it upside down, but I don't. Then I've got, and I don't know how to put these in yet. I've got another one of these, which I think too many of these will be overkill. Because I've got one of these as the liner in the cover, and I've used one to do the pouch I'm doing. But I was going to put one of these in as a page. And then I've got, I dropped something. This came in the kit. I haven't worked out how to add it yet. So I've got that from the kit. I've also got, this came in the kit. And this one came in the kit. So at this stage I haven't worked out how to integrate those. I've also pulled this one. I'm not sure if I'll use it. And this, I thought I'd use this as a pocket because it is I think it's a little compact case. So I've pulled this one to put in there. And of course I've also got the zippered pouch that's going in. But it feels too blue. I can't work out how to, I still need to add, that's what I'm missing, the doctor's flannel for starters. I need to get some doctor's flannel into it for the needles. I feel like it's just a bit too blue. So the doily that came in the kit is like an ecru colour. But this sandwich cloth tray that came in the kit is white, and then these ones are all white backgrounds. Oh, it doesn't really matter, I suppose. Everything else is white, so that's a bit of an odd duck, that one. So I'm just thinking, the doctor's flannel is going to be like it's not really ecru, it's an off-white, isn't it? Like a cream. I feel like it needs more lighter, more white or cream. I overthink these, I know I do. And I keep telling my daughter she hasn't done one yet, but she wants to start one. And I keep saying to her, just do the cover first, just do the cover and the rest will just fall into place. It's not just falling into place, is it? So there we go, that's where I'm at with that one. I don't seem to be making a great deal of progress, do I? I don't know if you were here earlier, Kathleen, when I wished you a happy birthday. I'm sorry I missed your birthday. I only just saw your email this morning. I hope you had a lovely day. I keep picking this up. Why am I picking this up? I don't want to do that. I'll move it over here onto the ironing board out of the way. I've also got, you probably noticed, I still haven't finished this This bowl I started. Oh goodness, what have I got in there? Bits of fabric. Oh, a ribbon off my chocolate Easter bunny I was gifted by my son. I think I sent Christy one of these. I made these years ago. Little button brooches. Crikey. So yeah, I still haven't finished this. I should just get it finished. There's not much left to do. It's just that bit really. And add some more textures. This is the inside that's sticking outside. So I did it so this is the outside. So really I've just got to finish this part. This part of the inside, which I had turned out to stitch it. And I don't know if I'll add more. Like I've got this little pansy. I don't know if I'll add some more of these sorts of things. I've got one of these. And this poor doily that this came off, it's sort of disintegrated. So I've just got bits. This is off a different one. So I don't know if I'll add some more of those. I have added some. I don't like this bloody gem shiny thing that I added. I don't like that much at all. It seemed like a good idea at the time. And I'm not fussed on... I'm not overly excited about this edge I've done around this Suffolk puff either. In the neon. What else have I done? Bit of vintage lace here, and I'm still undecided. I thought that was a good idea to leave these leaves sticking up for a bit of texture, but now I'm not convinced they should stay because they're just all floppy. And there's a bit of a... Oh, crikey. This lace here was quite delicate. I've had to stitch it down quite a bit because it's sort of disintegrated a bit too. And then I've inserted a bit of a crocheted edge from a doily in there. I haven't inserted it, I've stitched it on the back. That's unusual for me to do that. I usually sandwich things like that. There's a little flower, vintage flower thingy, 1970s. I used to put those on nighties and underwear. And then I've put that big one on the bottom, and I'm not convinced I like that either. I think I need to at least stitch it down more. I thought around the edge was enough, but I think I'll stitch him down a bit more. That might make me feel a bit better. So yeah, not sure if I'm going to add more. I probably will. I'll probably add more of those crocheted bits to the outside. And I just need to finish some fabric on the inside here. And I haven't decided yet whether to put... Crap, what have I done? Whether to put some laces and textured bits on the inside so it can be reversible, or just leave it as the inside is the inside. Oh, gee, made a mess of that. Just untangling that thread. So yeah, that's what I've found though. If any of you who have done these, I've read a few people who have written, oh, I found this so quick and easy. Well, I haven't. I have not found it quick and easy at all. And the inside bit, the first layer of fabrics I found okay. But now that I'm at this inside bit, and I'm finding it very difficult, and it might be because I'm trying to only stitch these fabrics to this surface. I'm trying very hard to make sure these stitches aren't going through to the front side. I mean, it'll probably be fine, but I just don't want them to. So I am finding this bit very difficult, and I'm also finding if I do it like this, if I do it like a traditional sashiko style stitch, you can see how the fabric's puckering. I'll show you. We get that. And that's why all that's puckered, because that's how I'm a bit over it, so that's how I've been doing it. Whereas if I come to, if I turn it out here, and you can see, oh, that's going to lie now. This, it's hard for me to find one. I wanted to show you one that's not puckered. This isn't as puckered. And I found if I did a stab stitch, down, pull it through, up, pull it through, down, pull it through, up, it doesn't tend to pucker as much. I think it's puckering more now because it's just been worked so much. So I was trying to do, there you can see that bit's not really puckered. Or, I'm not going to show you a stab stitch on this because I don't want it to go all the way through. Or I can do just one stitch like this and it doesn't pucker as much. You see that? That one there hasn't really puckered. But it's when I do the sashiko style running sort of stitch. And you know what? At this point, I don't think I'm too concerned about the puckering and because it gives it texture. But I didn't want it to be very bumpy, ripply, if that makes sense. And I've noticed my rows are getting wider because I'm over it. I'm just over this one already, so I don't know if I'll be making more of these or many more of these in a hurry. Because at this point, I'd much prefer to be stitching needle books instead. Have any of you on here, have any of you done one of these bowls? And if so, how did you enjoy it? Did you get over it? Did you struggle with doing the reverse side? Let me know, I'd love to know. I'm also finding that this seems to be very taxing on my whole body, like my shoulders and my back, and just doing this stitching on this bowl. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it's a bit firm. And this particular fabric I'm using now is a poly cotton, so it is a little bit stiffer to stitch through. Not overly. It's not ridiculous or anything, but it's a bit stiffer than a lovely linen or a beautiful quality cotton or something. And I can feel, I do have my fingers behind here, so I can feel if it's going through the other side, and it's not, it hasn't yet. I can keep stopping and flicking it over to check, but there's no need to because I can feel that it's not going through. This is not where I had planned to go in this video today, isn't that funny? You've probably noticed I haven't, I've been a bit slack with taking the photographs for the videos. That's partly because it's been so wet and rainy, and where I normally take my photos is out on the veranda where the light's good and I can do a nice flat lay. It's been soaking wet and rainy and dark, and also partly because I've just been that exhausted. I haven't had the energy to do a flat lay to take the photographs. So I'm supposed to go back to hydrotherapy and physiotherapy on Tuesday this week. I think I've only got 5 sessions to go. I've been going since September. This is for my self-requested pain clinic treatment. I wasn't made to go this time, but I haven't attended a pain clinic, and I've never attended one like this before either. So I was at a bit of a wit's end, and I asked my doctor for a referral to this pain clinic. And unfortunately, even though they were keen and confident in the beginning, it's reached a point where they're now saying there's nothing we can do for you, which I'm not surprised. That seems to be the outcome every time. But it's still been good to go and do physiotherapy and what's the other therapy I've been doing? There's 2 others, and physiotherapy, hydrotherapy, but 2 others as well. I can't remember the name of them. They have been occupational therapy, and I can't remember the name of the other one. They were very helpful. Getting in the heated mineral pool was very helpful. But it's gotten to the point where it's no longer helping. So it's just adding to my fatigue significantly now when I go. There we go. So I've just finished that piece of fabric. Let's just end that off a bit. Just going to bury that thread. So it feels like it, no. Yes, it has. It's come through the other side that time. I felt that then. It's come through again. Now we got it. Oh, crack, that was my neck again. Gee, that's been cracking a lot today. Lifted my head up to look through the monitor and crack. Right. Put a bit of vintage velvet there. I don't have much of that left. I had a big bolt of it, and stupidly I gave it away to a fellow who was going to cover a chaise lounge, and he never did, and I want it back now, and I don't have any means of contacting him. I want some of it. So, look, there's a waist knot sitting out there. I probably shouldn't cut it because it might unravel something. So, bits of fabric. I don't know. I always get, when I'd get to this point, I think, oh, what colour will I use? Oh, I shouldn't use that. This is a bit of Tilda, and I don't want to cover it. And then I found another little bit of Tilda in a jar, a scrap. I love the Tilda. And then this, look at this little bit. So there's a bit out here somewhere. There we go. There's a bit. That's a bit of Tilda. The rest of it's vintage. There's a bit of Tilda. There's a bit of Tilda. I love that one. There's a bit of Tilda. So if I put another bit there, there's going to be 3 bits touching. That's not going to be fabulous. I don't like them all touching like that. There's too much pink together, isn't it? Just looking for bits. I've got some larger bits here. I'm just looking for some bits that I might have cut. That looks like a bit of French general. That won't work in there. Surely I've got some little bits that are already cut. What about that? I haven't put any of that in yet. That's actually a bit of Sanderson. That might work, eh? Let's put a bit of Sanderson in there. About there-ish. You probably can't even see that, sorry. Now I'm cutting with the weave of the fabric there. It's not too bad. That might work. Now I've got to find the cotton I was using. It's not there. Of course it's not. Why would it be there? That'd be too easy. For those of you who've been following along, you'd probably know that my doggo had surgery, major surgery, and I think that's the same one, but that'll do. The last few days, yesterday, the day before, I can't remember, so Saturday, Friday, Thursday, I think it started. And I was really sick on Thursday. I couldn't even get out of bed. I was so unwell. I think it was just pure exhaustion, to be honest. I don't know what I've done with the bloody needle now. God, I'm hopeless sometimes. I've got no idea what I've done with that needle. So she's been bugging the life out of me, like, what did I write? Something like a troop of caffeinated possums or something, driving me batty to go for a walk, which is a bit unusual for her because she's not a walker. She doesn't really often like going for walks. But she was bugging the bejesus out of me, so I relented yesterday and decided to take her for a walk. But I called my mother and I said to her, "Are you home?" "Yes." "If I walk down the street with Willow, is there any chance you can pick us up? Because I know once I get down the hill, there's no way in hell I'll be able to make it back up in the condition I'm in at the moment." "Yes, I'll do that, thank you." So off we went. Oh my God. This dog, she's been reborn. I've never known her to behave like this. She was so excited and so energetic. I had to keep her on a short lead because she was just jumping around all over the place. Now that's, I don't know if you can see that. I don't like that I've put that flower on upside down. So I'm going to turn it around. So yeah, she was so elated to be outside, and at first I was a bit like, "You need to slow down, you need to stop being silly, you're going to hurt yourself," and I was concerned she was going to hurt herself. But I realised that this is incredibly fantastic sensory, I don't know, playtime for her. So even though I kept her on a short leash, well, shortish leash, because well, we didn't go to a dog run for starters. We just went down the street, so legally I had to keep her on a lead. And she jumped in the water and splashed and played and dug and buried her face, and she had so much fun. I was hysterical a couple of times. I was between extreme relief that she was so playful and happy and using her leg, to sheer horror and fear that she was going to hurt herself. But every doggo that walked past, she wanted to play with them, and because she's so big, she'd just lunge, like with the tail wagging, and pounce, and they'd shit themselves. And the poor little spaniel we met screamed. So, yeah, she just had so much fun. And I probably should have let her down there a bit longer, but I said to Mum, give us an hour. And she turned up to pick us up. And I actually got injured again because Willow slammed into my leg very hard, and I heard something crack in my knee again, and it's been very painful. So I popped over to... We bundled into the car, and we popped over to Costco. Haven't been there since last year. Popped over to Costco to see if I could get some more training pads, because since her surgery she has had a little bit of trouble with her continence on and off. So I had to see if I could grab some more pads, and bought her a barbecue chicken, and some chicken treats, which are right here, sitting on my work table. Now, I don't often promote products, but Willow is allergic to red meat, and she's allergic to wheat or gluten. And I have spent so much money in the past on wheat-free, red meat-free, grain-free treats from the pet shop that have cost an arm and a leg for, you're lucky if you get a 200-gram bag. They're usually about 180, sometimes 200, sometimes as much as 250 maybe. And you pay $40 odd dollars for them. They're not, she doesn't always like them. But these I get at Aldi, and I was sceptical because of the price and the fact they were Costco, sorry, not Aldi. There's 400 grams in this bag, 500, sorry, so half a kilo. They're single protein, so it's just chicken, and there's no fillers or grains, so she doesn't get sick from them. 100% Australian chicken. And they were on special yesterday for $16. I probably should have bought two, to be honest, but I just use them as training treats mainly. But yeah, I picked up some of those yesterday. I haven't had any for a while. They're really good. And it's interesting because I was reading yesterday that most dogs in Australia, and look, this was being written by a company that sells raw food, so I do need to do some more research. It makes sense what they're saying though. And what they were saying was that most dogs in Australia are allergic to chicken, and I do know quite a few dogs that are allergic to chicken. And they're claiming that the reason is because they've got so many hormones and steroids and things pumped into them, which a lot of them do. Most of them do, unless you get free. A friend of mine grows free-range organic chickens, which I don't buy because they're about $40 a bird. So it sort of makes sense why dogs are allergic to chickens that are bred in this country for consumption. But Willow's the opposite. She doesn't do any well with red meat. And I suppose unless you're buying game, the red meat's going to be in the same class as the chicken, really. It's still going to have hormones and antibiotics and chemicals and whatnot, I'd assume, for human consumption in the supermarkets and a lot of the butchers and whatnot. But anyway, just a bit of trivia there, I suppose. This needle, I think, maybe not, it just looked like it's bent. Doesn't surprise me. It is, it's bent. Huh, oh well. Mind you, I've got hundreds of needles, but so right now it is 11 a.m. on a Sunday here. Let me know in the comments what day and time it is where you are. This must be incredibly boring for you guys to watch. What else can I do today? You might be wondering what these balls are. Going through my stash again the other day, I came across these strips of fabric that I'd cut up years ago, and I'd forgotten I'd done them. I still can't remember doing them. I know I've done them. So I've cleaned them up, I've given them a wash. They were already cut into strips, and I'm kicking myself for cutting this one because this is a seersucker and it had strawberries on it. And why the hell would I cut that up? What a doofus. So I've cleaned them up and I've retrimmed them into 1-inch wide strips because they were all uneven. It looks like I just hacked them with a pair of scissors. Cut them into 1-inch strips and I've joined them all together, and now I'm wondering maybe I shouldn't have joined them all together because then I'm just going to have blocks of colour. And I thought, I don't think I'm going to have anywhere near enough, I'm going to have to cut more. I thought I'd do one of those crocheted bags, you know, those big crocheted carry bags. So that's the idea, that's what those balls are doing there. And as I said, I think I'm going to have to do a lot more than what I've got. But I was going to do my needle book today. Maybe later. Maybe I might come back later today and do another one. I'm going to have a break, stop and have a break because I need to stand up, and you guys are probably getting bored stupid watching me do this. Considering I keep going out of the bloody shot. It's a challenge. I've got the screen right in front of my eyes, so I'm trying to work through the screen, and it's challenging. I keep looking behind it. Maybe that might be a bit better. So you can probably notice this is getting quite untidy. But as I said earlier, I'm so over this bowl. I just want to finish it. I'm not really enjoying it anymore. On my de-stash page, I've been selling off some projects that I've started. Not so much that I'm not enjoying those ones, but I'm just sort of thinking, when am I going to finish them all? So if someone else would like to finish them, I did sell I didn't really want to sell it, but I've got that many on the go. I sold a vintage bark cloth needlebook cover I'd started the other day. Put a bit of work into it. But yeah, I just want to get these other ones finished, and I thought someone else might enjoy it. There's another one there, not as much work done on it, but it's a lovely 70s fabric that I've stitched all the cover together and lined it. It's got a pocket in the lining, but that's as far as I've got. There's no pages in that one yet. Oh gee, this one's getting really untidy. Anyway, the other thing I've noticed with this, I'm thinking, see where we're going here? There may have to be some folds, see here, stitched in to get it to shape around. Don't know, maybe not. Maybe I can spread it out enough that it'll... Oh crap. But you know what? I forgot to plug. I set it up with the cord and I've forgotten to plug it in, so I'm nearly flat, so I'm probably going to have to go anyway. I might come back later today and do some work on, if anyone's interested, I'll do some work on this, I think. So I'll say goodbye, guys. Thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you may have learned something useful today. I hope I didn't bore you senseless. I'm always surprised how many of you enjoy watching these, because I feel like I just get on and ramble about garbage. But it is lovely to have you joining me, and I love all your comments and your encouragement, and yeah, thank you. I'll sign off for now. I'll pop back. I'll hopefully pop back later today and do another one, I think. Once again, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you later.